Hi, this is Ellie with Full Moonlight Tarot 20, and I wanted to do a twin flame check-in reading today. Top row of cards is the Divine Masculine and what they're going through at this time, and the bottom row is the Divine Feminine. Now, and I see this now because we're still in Mercury. And I can't even speak that word. Mercury retrograde for another week, I think. And things from the past are coming up. And this can be people, this can be situations, but I think for twin flames, it's the triggering. It's you and your divine masculine, or this can be, there's some divine masculines that watch these readings. You might have had a run-in with your twin flame and some of the old wounds were triggered, right? And I know that's happened to me this past week. So you meet them and you feel the love, but the wounds come up. As soon as you're around that person, your wounds come up. Your abandonment wounds, um, your wounds of not being chosen, the fear of always being alone. All of that is coming up. Now, for the divine masculines, while they're going through this, they're looking at obstacles. Look for ways around the obstacles to find happiness. So I think for them, and now remember that the masculines are very much in the 3D, right? They're all about what's going on in their everyday life. They're all about their work and their abundance, what they can provide, their stability, right? They're all about the stability in life. And a lot of them, while they're on this journey, have lost they have lost their abundance. They have lost what they thought they wanted out of life, right? A lot of them might be going through divorce. They're losing the things that they've put so much work into. And of course, all that has to be stripped away because they're supposed to go through their spiritual growth. They're supposed to go through their awakening. They're supposed to see that life is not about your material possessions and your status, right? Your life is not supposed to be based on what other people think about you, how other people perceive you. Your life is way more important than that. What you can bring to the world is so much more important. And now they're looking at all the things that they used to place all this importance on, right? And they're noticing that none of this was fulfilling. None of those things were fulfilling. They were not fulfilled, even when they had the stability, even when they had the family life and the status with friends and family. And right when they had all those things, they truly were not fulfilled because this is all surface. This is all surface energy. This is surface happiness. True happiness and is not to be found there. And I think they're realizing that. And I think a lot of them are actually going through the process of removing all the things that have been keeping them from true inner happiness. Now, with the 1111, that's the twin flame number because see how the 11s are mirroring one another, right? That's the typical twin flame energy because twin flames will always mirror each other. So you will see yourself reflected in your counterpart, and they will see themselves reflected in you. But you will also see your shadow side, the things that you haven't been able or willing to work on, reflected in the other person, and you will be triggered by it, which is why the separation happens, because the energies are just too intense. It's too intense for both of them to be able to work through while together. That you can't. Can you imagine being with someone and feeling those intense energies all the time? You can't. You need to have that break, that separation, right? And both of you work on yourselves during the separation in order to heal all the things that are triggering you, So when you're all healed, you can come together. So that's the 1111 is a sign that most twin flames see on their journey and that's when they know they're on the right path. It's a sign that they're on the right path. And I think they're starting to notice these signs, right? Now, that's what I'm talking about, intense. The intensity of a true soul connection includes great highs and great lows. And that is what I was just talking about, because in the beginning, when you first meet your counterpart, you're in the love bubble phase, right? It's almost like your inner children come awake and you recognize one another instantly because, my gosh, there's thousands of lifetimes that you've spent together, and you're always together in the 5D. Your higher selves are always helping one another, always holding space, always sharing energy. That's probably why you're having so many dreams about your counterpart, because it's not even just a dream. Your higher selves are meeting in the astral realms, and you're having discussions and you're working things out, and you're giving each other signs to your 3D self, right? So they're noticing, right? And even you too, you're thinking about how wonderful it was when you first met, how that's before the triggering happened. Because when you first meet, the triggers aren't there yet. You just revel in the feeling of, I've known you before and I've loved you before. And it's just this, and other people see it too, and they think you guys are nuts. But the intense energy, right? It's just unconditional love. You finally, for the first time in your life, are feeling unconditional love. And that's what that love bubble phase is. And then when that ends, then the triggering starts happening, because now that you've had a taste of unconditional love, now you're going to trigger one another to get rid of all the things and all the wounds and all the karma that is keeping you from maintaining that unconditional love state. Anything that is keeping you from reaching that beautiful state, because it takes so much work to get there and to actually hold that vibration. It takes a lot of work, and there's so much. Twin flames take on so much baggage in each lifetime. They take on ancestral wounds, karma. They take so much on that they're trying to work through in this lifetime, that it's a very, very painful, and it can be a long process to work through, especially when they're especially for the divine masculines, because they're not tuned into the spiritual side of things as the divine feminine is. Because the divine feminine leads with her top chakras, right? The heart chakra, the throat chakra, and the other two above, right? Whereas the masculine collective, they lead with the lower chakras, right? So, and the lower chakras are very much the 3D, what's happening in the 3D in the everyday life, the stability, right? Money, career, supporting oneself, supporting one's family. That's how they're leading. Whereas the divine feminine, she is connected to spirit through the crown chakra. And she is the one that gets all the divine downloads first. She's the one that starts the whole process of healing and the whole process of ascension. She's the one that leads. And then when she's gotten to a certain point, that's when the divine masculine can awaken to their journey. And I feel like the divine masculine now with this card intense is really reflecting on how intense it feels every time, especially if there's separation, but spirit will always bring you together briefly to see how far you've come and to trigger each other again, because there's always things that are still remaining for you to work on. So there's always going to be, or you run into each other, or you hear about them from somebody, and it's something that triggers something in you. And it's just that intense energy, that energy of, it almost feels like a panic, because it's this pain that you don't want to face that's coming up, but it's getting triggered, so you do face it and you do heal it. And they're realizing, and I mean, that's why they ran, right? They're usually the runner. I mean, there's some divine feminines that run as well, but they're the ones that run from the connection. They run from the intensity of it because it's too much and they don't know what to do and they don't understand it. So they don't like that feeling of getting triggered. And that's why they run to karmic connection, something that's easy, right? Something that's easy, something that's comforting, even though they do love their feminine, but they're just too triggered to be around her. And quite frankly, it feels the same for the divine feminine. They feel the triggers too, and it's not fun. Now, I wanted to see, I'm going to pull some message cards. I want to see what the divine masculine would say to his feminine. And then we're going to get to the divine feminine. I'm just going to pull a couple of cards. Oh, one flew out. I love you. I will patiently wait for you to open up. I don't know. Because I feel like that's what happens a lot in those divine connections. Both of them are waiting for the other to make a move, and neither of them makes a move. I reread our texts. It hurts. Of course it hurts. Definitely a bit of obsessive energy there, and I think that's on both sides. The obsession, right? Looking at photos, checking out their profile, anything you've got going on online, checking in with people that know both of you, asking about you. Yeah, they're definitely reminiscing, and that's this energy again of Mercury retrograde. It's that energy of going over the past, feeling nostalgic, right? I mean, some of us, like, we've been on this journey for years, right? Years where you've been in separation. And it's hard when you go online and there's all these readers and there's all these coaches and some of them, oh, well, it doesn't take that long to get into union if you do this and this and that. But quite frankly, everybody's journey is their own. And there's really no cookie cutter way of doing it. Now let's get to the divine feminine. We have your heart. You begin to feel your heart beat faster when you're close, of course. That's still your divine masculine. And even for some of the divine feminines, there might be soulmates coming in, especially we're getting to a critical time where if the divine masculines don't make a move, if they stall on their healing journey, if they're trying to opt off out of the twin flame journey, which they're honestly, I don't think it's possible. It's a soul contract that you've made. But what happens is the divine feminine gets to a point where she needs help, where she needs someone who supports her, who is there for her, who protects her, who offers her a bit of stability, even though she's pretty stable within herself, but someone who's going to help her while she's doing her mission work, right? And if the divine masculine is unable to step into that role because it takes them a little longer to get through their journey, they're stalling, they're keeping themselves trapped in karmic cycles and karmic relationships. What happens is eventually spirit, there's other soulmates that are assigned to you, right? There can be other masculines that'll come in to help you, right? To be there for you, to give you that love and support. And of course, those soulmates will not be triggering like your divine masculine is, right? It's going to be a very warm, a very easy connection. And I mean easy because there's really no work required to be with that person, right? They're just a loving support for you. True love. True love comes when you least expect it. Yes. And that's just it. You can have true love with a soulmate as well. So don't, and I hate saying that because I know we're all so attached to our divine masculines, but don't put a face to it. If you're manifesting someone to come in and give you love and support, don't put a face to it. Don't, and quite frankly, we shouldn't even put the twin flame label on our divine counterpart, because there are soulmates that can come in, right? That can really be there to help you if your divine masculine is going to take too long, right? Or is not doing the work. Now, of course, I have to say, that usually when the divine feminine does a lot of healing work, it triggers the masculine to do the same. So usually what happens is, because it is a mirrored connection, when one party heals, the other will as well. So, but sometimes divine feminines get to the point where they don't really want a relationship with their divine masculine. They love them, but they don't want to be in a romantic connection with them. They just love, they know the connection is there in the 5D. They're always going to be connected, but they're choosing to step away from their divine masculine to let them live their own life. And that sometimes happens with connections. There are nomadic or monadic twin flames who are not even meant to come together in this lifetime. They live parallel lives. They're on a parallel life journey, and they're doing their own work without ever being together in a romantic connection, and neither one of them actually wants to be in a romantic connection with the other. So I think those are more rare. You don't hear from them very much, but those are the ones that they're all about their mission work and their journey, and they don't want to be in a romantic connection with their counterpart. So they're just working together in the 5D. So let true love come in whichever form it takes. And whichever person is going to come in is the one that's going to resonate with your energy and who's going to be helping you on your journey. Now, tested, your strengths and weaknesses are being tested. And that's exactly what this whole triggering energy. Now, when your masculine is coming in and triggering you, or you hear about them, right? Then it is really a test to see how far you've come. Are you going to fall back into the negative energy? Are you going to fall back into the pining? Are you going to fall back into obsessively watching tarot readings, or getting readings on your relationship with somebody? Or are you going to be obsessively stalking them online, right, to see what they're doing? See how far you've come. If you can honestly say, no, I'm okay, yes, I feel something getting triggered, and go within and ask yourself what it is. Why is this triggering me? What is it triggering in me? What am I feeling? What do I need to still work on, right? And do that. And if you can do that without obsessively thinking about your counterpart, then you're further ahead than a lot of the divine feminines at this time. But yeah, all I can say is, guys, do your work. Like, work on yourself and start stepping into your divine mission that you have in this lifetime, that you've taken on, right? A lot of us are healers. A lot of us are way showers, coaches. Like, you're here and you know what you're meant to be doing. And the best way to actually call in that person that's meant to be with you is to be fulfilled in what you're doing. Work on your life mission. Work on that. And you're going to be in that energy where it honestly doesn't even matter if that person shows up or not, because you're going to be totally fulfilled with your life. So now I'm curious. I'm going to take the message cards again, and we're going to see what the Divine Feminine would like to say to the Divine Masculine. You are not giving me enough attention. Well, that's unfortunately part of the journey, isn't it? They're going to be running. They're going to be running until you take your attention off. Unfortunately, they're not going to start their healing journey until you withdraw your energy. And you withdraw your energy by withdrawing your attention from them. Stop focusing on them and focus on yourself. Yeah, I am working on myself. Good girl. Now, of course, there are men who are divine feminines, so I don't want to not include everybody. I regret I messed up everything. Well, honestly, the journey goes pretty much the same for everybody. It's not that you messed anything up. You're on your healing journey. You're triggering one another. So what could you have done? He's the runner, right? He ran because he couldn't take the intensity of the connection, and he didn't understand what he was feeling. He didn't understand it, and that provokes fear. So you didn't mess up anything. Everything happened exactly the way it is meant to, and don't feel guilty about anything you might have said to him. Don't feel guilty if maybe you kind of threw yourself at him a little bit. You just perceive this whole journey different from how he perceives it, because you are more spiritual, right? You understand the spiritual side of things that he cannot see. All he knows is, every time I'm around this girl, I don't feel so great. I think she, he knows he knows he loves you. He knows he can't stop thinking about you, but they don't understand why. They thought that maybe this was just an obsession, right? Until they realized that, oh my God, it's been years and I still can't stop thinking about her. I'm still feeling this way. But they can't, they don't know. They don't know what this is. And even if they hear about twin flames, most of them don't believe this stuff anyways, right? They're very materially focused, right? And a lot of them are in other connections. They have a family, they have a karmic partner. They have karma they still need to break with that partner. And the thing is, if you're obsessively thinking about them, they're bombarded with your energy, and that is going to keep making them withdraw even more, because now they feel pressured. And when they feel pressured, they're not going to do any healing. You're basically, with your obsession, stopping them from starting their healing journey. They're not going to have their spiritual awakening until you step back, pull your energy back, and completely focus on yourself and your mission. And that's what I got for you today, guys. You got this. Love and light. We'll talk again soon.